Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. And power can be hurtful if it's used in the wrong way. My psychology classes, somewhere along the way, we spoke of Piaget. Piaget's the guy that came up with groupings of intellect. He was supposed to be doing it so that we knew how to take care of the kids that needed more help. And he had different degrees of it. If I've got the guy right, I'm sure it's Piaget. But surety is an emotive response, as I like to say. Surety is not knowing. Surety is just a feeling that you're right. And as it is an emotive response, it produces emotional results, consequences. We become aggressive with the things we're sure about without ever knowing. And we attack other people. But that can happen. It takes a good person, a decent individual, to be able to not use the things they're sure about against others, the things they're knowing about against others, to use anything against other people. It takes a decent individual to know at what point do you stop. At what point is it unnecessary? At what point is it just something that's for your own personal well-being? What a party. I just screwed that guy. And I am not putting that down altogether. How could I? Because sometimes it's necessary. But with great power comes great responsibility. And the responsibility that Spider-Man left us off with there was the idea that we have to take care of others. No, I say the responsibility that comes with that knowledge and that great power is the responsibility to choose when to hurt others for our own gain and that of others around us. Possibly all of us. Utilitarianism, which one? Oh, what's it take? You hook a guy to a battery cable in the middle of an auditorium, a coliseum. Are you not entertained? For the joy of others, that one person's pain does not equate to the joy of so many others. Well, that's the way they put it in the psychology class at Michigan State. Hook them up to a battery cable. And I was like, this is my place. This is a good place of learning. This is philosophy. But Piaget, if I'm right, I'm looking all this stuff up, and if I got it wrong, and you're looking and you're going, you're wrong. By knowing I was wrong, you know what's right. I have impinged upon you the responsibility to find out for yourself. And finding out things for ourselves makes these things all the more important to us. So go with it. But there was this, that, and that, and along the lines, you had morons, and you had idiots, and anything under an IQ of 75 was said to be like retarded. You're a slower thinking person. Your mentality has not come up to where it could be. Whether it was physiognomy or sociology, or whether it was the way your brain's designed, or whether it was the way the people treated you in your life to get you to this point of just not knowing. But in it, when I found, a moron is not as intelligent as an idiot, I came up with the riddle. You see, I'm finding myself surprised. I always thought there was only one riddle that I'd come up with in life. What's the difference between a goat and a possum? What do a goat and a possum have in common? That's it. What do a goat and a possum have in common? One's more fun to fuck. What do a goat and a possum have in common? They're both fun to fuck. Till they've been dead for about 4 days. I screwed up the whole joke. But so yeah, I thought that was the only riddle I had come up with. But I remember now the difference between an idiot and a moron. And when I saw that, I came up with that riddle, and I waited for the day. I said, I'm gonna tell this riddle, ask somebody of this one day, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. And I was on the bus, a Greyhound bus, going back to Gaylord, Michigan from San Jose. Maybe again, maybe the first time. I can't remember whether it was for my brother's 40th surprise birthday party, or if it was me coming back from China and just trying to get back to a place where I could settle again and recuperate. But I was on this bus, and this guy with a big head. It's always the guy with a big head, which is funny. Here comes another riddle line. The guy with the big head. They always talked about how certain people were not as intelligent as other people because their heads were smaller, their brain cases, and they said that made them dumber. But when we look at Einstein, he was crenulated so much, everything where the brain, the little crevices and the ridges and all that stuff come in. The deeper the crevice, the more connections are being made on the walls between those places, and there's I've got just a little head. Einstein had just a little head. But ask Bill Clinton. There's nothing wrong with a little head. But so I'm on this bus, I get on it, and I'm up near the front because I can't stand the maniacs in the back. I'm trying to read. I don't know what the hell goes on back there, pissing on each other's legs and everything else. You know, the only time I ever saw a good group of people on a Greyhound was after 9/11 back in 2001 when they bombed the shit with an airplane. I went that year, and there were decent people on there, and I said, this is the weirdest thing, because people were afraid to fly. And I realized, this isn't so bad. Riding a bus across the country can be a decent ride, and it can be a lot of fun no matter what. But reached the point next time I rode it, I was like up to the front. I'm like, I gotta stay away from these assholes, because it was back to normal. The people with money were flying again. What about the people with money? They probably had some sort of whatever. You get it. Whatever it is, you can't blame me for me seeing it that way. And there was this guy on the bus. He's got and he wasn't very bright. He had a big head, which means his brain wasn't highly crenulated. The Neanderthals had a 1500 to 1750 1750 centimeter brain case, whereas we have 1250 to 1500. I think that's the way it works. It's been over 20 years since I read this shit, but I have good retention because I got all the lead. And so the cavemen had bigger heads than us, and this guy got on the bus like a caveman. And not even caveman, we were cavemen, all that, you know. Let me get started. This Neanderthal gets on the bus with his big head, and he's sitting there, and he's and he's just talking to everybody around him, and everybody's just like, get the fuck away from me. And he's going, and I'm just like, this guy's driving me nuts. And I did one of the most vicious and cruel and uncaring things I've ever done in my life, and it's one of these things that I regret having done, except for in this moment when I tell you, because, well, there's a story to it. I turned and I looked at him, and I said, you know, and I told you what I said about how there were studies done, and they categorized people with different names: moron, idiot, this, that, and the other. And I looked at him. I interrupted something he was saying when I could tell the girl next to him was just like, shut the fuck up. I interrupted him. I save girls. And I said, told him that. And I said, so? I said, what's smarter? An idiot or a moron? And he looked at me and he blinked. And he said, I don't know. And I said, it's an idiot, you moron.